Welcome back. You're watching Editor's Roundtable. Now, the U.S. government is staring at a potential shutdown on September 1st of August at midnight, which basically means all non-essential services cease, unless the Congress is able to stitch a deal at the nth hour. Now let's get to why we are talking about this and how we reached here. How did the U.S. government reach here? Well, this year, they are projecting that the U.S. government is staring at a potential budget deficit of $2 trillion. This is double of the budget deficit that we had in the prior year and also much higher than the pre-COVID years. So $2 trillion is the budget deficit, much higher than historical levels. How did the U.S. government get here? One, U.S. revenues are largely similar to what they were in COVID levels, but expenses have shot up, and particularly the interest cost on their debt burden has also gone up, given the rise that we've seen in interest rates. Now, this is not the first time the U.S. government is staring at a shutdown. In the last 4 decades, U.S. government has been shut down close to about 14 times. Now, most of the shutdowns have been, for a very short duration, 1 day, 2 days, and that list will come up for you on your screen. We've looked at the last 14 shutdowns starting 1981, and most of them have not been for a very long period, barring 3 of them, where the shutdown was for 16 days, 21 days, and the last one, which was in 2018, lasted for a good 35 days. Now let's talk about the equity markets. How did they perform in all these periods of a shutdown? On an average, the U.S. market was absolutely flat, right? If you look at the average, but on the times when the duration of the shutdown was actually on the higher side, the markets have performed absolutely fine. So that's not a worry. Historically, equity markets have not reacted negatively to the shutdown. But there are other implications. So for instance, economic data can get released. Here we are zooming in to what happened in 2013, just because at that time too, the shutdown started on 1st of October. So timing-wise, it matches with where we are currently. The September CPI data got delayed by 2 weeks. That put a backlog on the October CPI data, so that got pushed forward. The payroll data gets pushed forward, and all this has implications going into the November FOMC meeting. In fact, Goldman Sachs says that if the shutdown lasts for a very long time, there is a possibility the FOMC, the Fed this time, may say, well, let's not hike, which would be anti-consensus this time. And finally, one more implication in the case of a prolonged shutdown is that what happens to the U.S. sovereign rating. Moody's, in fact, which is the last major rating agencies which has not yet downgraded U.S. debt, they're saying a federal shutdown would be negative for U.S. debt rating. So in a nutshell, that the U.S. government has seen multiple shutdowns in the past 4 decades, 14 of them. Historically, the equity markets have not reacted adversely. It's been a flat performance on an average. But there are implications from an economic data point. Economic data releases like CPI, payroll, all of them get extended, and that could have ramifications on the FOMC meet, which is scheduled on November. Ramesh, how would you see this?